Hello everyone, this is DM Gashbad, and I am finally bringing you my last battle report for the California Batman Miniature Game Championship that took place on November 11th in Sacramento. I'm really looking forward to this game. This one was a great one. If you haven't watched my other battle reports, I'm going to talk about what happened there now, so if you don't want anything spoiled for you, stop this, go back, see the other ones, all that kind of thing. Anyway, so it's round 4. Now, originally, it was supposed to be 5 rounds, but that was just, it was just going to be really tough to do that in a single day. So, thankfully, the tournament organizer announced to everyone, hey, would everyone be all right if we do 4 rounds, but this round, there's not going to be a time limit. We're actually going to get all the turns in. We're going to go through the whole thing, and everyone said, yes, that would be fine. Some people drove a long way. So, I think that was a good idea, and yeah, and it was getting late. My opponent this round is Donovan Stouter May. Now, if I'm mispronouncing that name, I apologize, but if it makes me feel any better, he's been calling my channel GM Gashbad for the last couple of weeks. See, he runs a podcast called Little Gotham. If you listen to podcasts, go check that out. It's a really good podcast. I've listened to everything that he's done from 2nd edition on. He's done a recap of this game that you're about to watch right now. So if you want a slightly better view of this game, you can listen to his podcast. I wish I remembered the game the way he described it. I think he was much nicer to me in that than I deserve. I'd much prefer. I like his version better. You'll see how this all goes. But he was a really great opponent. He's a really dynamic presence. I can see why he does podcasts. I mean, I talked to him a little bit at lunch. We sat at adjoining tables at Subway. He told me some stuff about his crew and how they operate, which I promptly forgot. So that didn't give me a whole lot of benefit for the game, but nonetheless, it was really great talking to those guys. Now, again, I have to apologize to my other opponents. I think I've gotten everyone's place of origin wrong so far. I think I've said that everyone I've played, where they came from is probably not actually where they came from. But I believe that Donovan comes from San Diego. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he started his trip at 1 a.m. this morning, drove all the way up to Sacramento, and now this is round 4 of this tournament, so he is on energy drinks and adrenaline at this point. So if there's anything that you want to criticize from him in this game, just cut him a little slack, because he's been working hard. He's been going straight through this whole time. On an inconsequential side note, one thing you can't blame on his long day is that on his podcast he keeps referring to this championship as the Southern California Batman Miniature Game Championship. And that's a big surprise to everyone in Sacramento and where I live up north of that lives in Northern California. I'm not sure if the people from San Diego just consider all of California Southern California, and they think like maybe Oregon is Northern California or something like that. I thought we were here for Californians, but no, we're all Southern Californians here, so I'm giving him a little bit of a hard time. But enough of that, let's move on a little bit. Let's go over my list really fast, because I have mentioned it in some of my other videos, so some of you this is going to be old information. But anyway, from left to right, we have Prisoner 3, that's Prisoner with the Axe. He has the cooling generator, which is like a whistle, it gives the stop rule. Then we have Turk with his twin handguns, no equipment. We have my boss, not my leader, Captain Cold. We have my first free agent, Reverse Flash. We have my second free agent, Heatwave. Next to him, we have the high security henchman with the grapple gun. And finally, we have Prisoner 1, prisoner with the tube or the pipe, and he has the metapack. On my opponent's side of things, we have the Gotham City Sirens. So this is the renamed Poison Ivy crew, and he's using the new pack, the new starter pack models, which is great. They're painted really well. I hope you appreciate the pictures, because I think they turned out pretty nice. He's got the Poison Ivy, the new one, as his leader. He's got Harlequin. He's got Catwoman. Those are all the new ones. And then he's got some really interesting stuff. So Poison Ivy can take henchmen from other crews into hers. She's mind controlling them with her plant spores or whatever, and so he's got some interesting stuff. First off, he has the Amazon with the sword. that's really interesting, and he's loaded her up with the mutations or whatever the equipment is that the Gotham City Sirens can give the people. I don't remember exactly everything that was in his list, but I know that this Amazon is -2 to wound, so she's got some kind of tough skin or other enhancements like that, and so she's really powerful. She's got, I think, the adaptable skill. She always gets +1 to hit. She's burly. Now, whenever you take in a henchman from these other crews, apparently your willpower drops. So this Amazon goes down from willpower 5 to willpower 4. So that's a little bit of a thing, but well, you'll see how this person goes. Anyway, not mind controlled. We have Gustav Gustafsson. That's the new prisoner with the carbine from the new prisoner set. And finally, we have the militia commander. He's got a handgun and a smoke grenade, and he's from the Scarecrow set. So that's his group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So a small crew, really fast, really deadly. So yeah, I was talking to Donovan at lunch, and he says that well, first off, listening to his podcast, he's been on a real tear with these guys. He's won a lot of games, and they're performing really well. So they're extremely fast. Those 3 characters all complement each other and help each other out. And the one thing that he said was, and of course I forgot this during my game, he said what he really wants is he wants people to play the objective game. He wants people to run forward, grab their objectives, and then he can really unload with the rest of his crew and he can score a lot of points. Now, I was worried about this because I think, wow, the objective game, that is my game, that is what I do. Most of my points come from getting objectives. That would concern me, but of course I immediately forget all this and we go on to our game, which in this case is Patrol. That's the one where you have the corner deployments. As soon as everyone sees this, they're like, "Oh, corner deployments! Hate corner deployments." I didn't really understand at the time. I think maybe I have a better sense of it now. I come from Warhammer Fantasy, where the corner deployments were like these weird diagonal things that take up almost half the table, and you get really close to your opponent. I love that scenario. But anyway, this one people were not as thrilled with. So a couple nice things about this last game. First of all, I get to use my own table. So that's my newly painted under construction skyscraper you see in the upper left. You can see right in front of that I've got my sort of statue corporate icon for the LexCorp. I threw that together at the last minute. I'm really happy about that. I should have flipped it the other way. I don't know why I have it facing the construction building. You want it facing the, where everyone can see it, but anyway, small point aside. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because I was pretty happy about that. The final thing that I want to mention before we get started on this is that this is essentially game for first place. So Donovan's on 2 wins and a draw. I am on 3 wins. I think everyone else at the tournament has had a loss. So whichever one of us wins this game is going to win the tournament. And of course, we know what the prize support is. It's fantastic. So that's a good deal. But even if we get like a draw or even a loss, I mean, if we get a draw, we may well end up second, third, fourth, or if we whoever gets a loss. Well, we'll get into that later on. This is kind of for a lot. It's kind of a big deal. Thankfully, man, such a great opponent. I mean, this was not. I mean, I felt a little bad because, like I said, we're going to run the full 6 turns for this game. Nothing's going to get wrapped up at this tournament until everyone's finished their game, and we spend the first 10 minutes just talking about stupid comic stuff and just joking around a lot, and finally we had to say, okay, we gotta get moving here. So anyway, this is after Urban Furniture. So for strategies, I took the fast advance and fake objectives again. For his strategies, he took the extra objective, which is nice. I don't remember what the other one might have been, but there that is. You can see my guys in the lower left kind of hopping outside of their deployment zone. They're 4 inches. Captain Cold's in the back. Heatwave is on the the bottom right. We've got Turk and Pipe Prisoner kind of close to the table edge. We've got Prisoner with the axe on the other side of the cop car. And you can't see him, but Reverse Flash is, of course, all off on his own behind those big shipping containers. And I think, what's his name? High Security Henchman is over there with him. My opponent's side in the upper right, you can see he's got Gustav Gustafsson and the militia commander up on the helipad. And we've got Harlequin and Catwoman on the far right, Amazon over there. And I'm not. And Catwoman's over there on the left. We can't see her. She might be behind the tail of the helicopter. This is after objectives have been placed. Now, I don't think that I've ever played this particular scenario, but one thing that I made a mistake with, and I think we actually both made this mistake because I don't know if we didn't realize what the deal is with this scenario, but I'm going to tell you guys right now in case you run it. I've been really appreciating the Batman miniature game, and especially how the objectives work and how the scenarios work. There are some scenarios where it is absolutely all about the objectives. They are right in front of you. You have to pounce on them right away, and it's this mad scramble for these easy to attain objectives. And then you have other games like Skirmish and like this scenario where your objectives are really hard to get to. These deployment zones, it's hard to tell like on a map or whatever, but they are really far apart. It is a long way from where my guy set up to where his guy set up. And so it's really tough to get people over to our own objectives. With that in mind, and seeing that now, I would never take a loot because it is going to be a really long time before my guys get to that loot, and it's much easier for his guys to grab it. So if I was really thinking about this, if I was smart about this, I would have taken my riddle objectives. But in the event, we both took a loot. I think we're just used to it. And again, Donovan had a long drive, so that may have had something to do with it too. But anyway, you can see, that's the other thing. Since the deployment zones are so small, it was impossible for me to place all of my objectives outside of 2 inches of all the markers and stuff like that. I mean, part of it is because of that helipad that Donovan has got in his deployment zone. Part of it is because there's like a lamppost and things like that. And then, of course, his crew takes up a bunch of space. But anyway, it was actually impossible for me to place all my objectives outside of 2 inches of the table edge, outside of 2 inches of all the markers, outside of 2 inches of all the objectives. So we just kind of fudged it as much as we can. It wasn't that big a deal, but we did what we could. Anyway, way up in the upper right, I've got my Titan and I've got my ammo sort of right behind the helicopter. You can see he's got 2 medical supplies. He's got an ammo in my deployment zone. He's got a loot hanging out outside my objective, kind of by the taco truck. My loot is over by the far corner of the under construction building. I'm going to try and send Reverse Flash to go pick that up. So this time, at least, not that I'm any smarter about this, but I don't think I put fake objective on the loot. I think I put it on an ammo or something like that. I promptly forget about it. Final thing to point out is part of the Gotham City Sirens rules is that Catwoman gives her other sirens the primary objective ability. So they could choose one of those objectives for Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn to get bonus victory points for claiming. So one of them goes for one of those medical supplies and one of them goes for the ammo. I don't really remember which. And of course, Catwoman herself has primary objective loot. So we go to the Bag of Destiny and I draw out one of my counters first, which is not what I prefer, but that's okay. So in my Speed Force phase, Reverse Flash is going to do what he always does. He's going to get muscle growth, fast combo, and he's going to use super speed level 1, super speed level 2, and he's going to go into the middle of that under construction building. Captain Cold is going to be my first activation. First thing I do is Inspire, because I'm a dummy and I don't know I can't do that yet. On the other hand, if I did know that I couldn't do that, I wouldn't have activated him first, and I wouldn't have stuck him behind all my guys like a moron. Anyway, he stumbles over to the medical supplies, grabs himself a dose of the painkiller or whatever that's called, and he's going to end it there. In my opponent's turn, Catwoman springs forward and grabs my loot, and that's why I shouldn't have taken a loot, because it's right in front of his deployment zone and miles away from me. It's possible that if I activated Reverse Flash first, I could have grabbed that, but I didn't even think about it. So anyway, Catwoman's got her primary objective, and so she's doing real well. In my turn, Turk jumps forward and he grabs my opponent's loot. And again, this is why neither of us should have brought loot. Now, he wouldn't have been able to pick it up because he only was able to do that because Captain Cold inspired him. Granted, he would have been able to claim the victory points and all that kind of stuff. But just letting you know. He's under the effects of the light, but I'm really not concerned. He's got pings and you know, it's going to take a bit of movement from his guys to get to me. I'm not worried at this point. Harlequin runs up in my opponent's next activation. She's going to take a swing at that lamppost, and she's going to fail. She is not going to damage that thing. Tube Prisoner moves up. Again, I'm not too worried about what my opponent has as far as firepower, so I'm just going to move my scrubs up and see what happens. Poison Ivy runs up. She spores the lamppost to death, do what Harlequin can't. She's got this spore template spray, and of course, you know, I'm not actually sure that this could have been done. She might have just hit it. I don't know. Either way, that lamppost is gone. Axe Prisoner, he really wants to use that cooling generator on Harlequin and Poison Ivy, and they're over on the right now. So he's going to hide behind that taco truck. He's going to try and bounce out in a later turn if they come to try and get me. And again, there's a good picture of that LexCorp statue that I made. Gustav moves up, takes cover behind the helicopter. Then we have Heatwave joining the crew of criminal punks. His militia commander comes up. High security henchman. High security henchman has a plan. He's going to use his bat claw, and he's going to jump up to the upper floor of that under construction skyscraper. I don't know if this is a fantastic idea. Obviously, he's going to be stuck up there for a while because he can't use his bat claw next round. But it just looked too cool. I wanted him up there. So we have the Amazon. She's going to move over. She's going to guard that ammo. I'm not sure if my opponent was thinking maybe Reverse Flash was going to run over there and grab that, but she's going to hang back. She's going to guard those objectives. Reverse Flash, I don't think he actually had the movement to get to that ammo, not that it would have mattered. Anyway, he's going to come up. He's going to base Catwoman. He's going to try and get in a tug of war for that loot that she's holding. Now, as soon as I move into contact with Catwoman, my opponent tells me, well, you know, she's got this pounce rule or something like that. It's a bonus movement at the end of the round where she gets to move 2 inches away. And I said, well, okay, I don't really have much I can do about that. You know, he's got to go somewhere, and that's as useful as he can. But anyway, my opponent told me, and he bounced Catwoman away from Reverse Flash. So Reverse Flash is no longer basing Catwoman, and so she's going to get victory points for the loot. Now, I was listening to Titan Dose recently, and I think maybe technically this isn't allowed. Like these weird bonus movements, you can't carry loot while doing that. So like a Speed Force, you know, Reverse Flash can't buzz around while holding a loot and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. All Catwoman had to do was drop the loot behind her and then move 2 inches to the other side of it. She wouldn't have been based by Reverse Flash. She would have still been basing the loot. She would have still gotten the victory points for it. Everything would have been fine. But just, just for the edification of our viewing audience. So it's a new round. Looks like I draw my die for taking the first activation again, which is not necessarily what I want. But anyway, first thing first, Reverse Flash is going to use his Speed Force phase, and he's going to buzz over, and he's going to base my Titan objective. Now, it's too late to claim victory points for that, but I really like speedsters on Titan, so that is what he is doing. For my first actual activation, Turk is going to move backwards with his loot, just kind of warding everyone off with his handguns. He's going to sit on those points, and he is not interested in getting into real combat. Okay, here comes Militia Commander. My opponent has a plan. He's going to go deal with Reverse Flash. Militia Commander runs up and he takes out his smoke grenade, which I kind of think, whatever, big deal, smoke grenade. But it is a big deal because you're only defending on 6s with that, and you lose a lot of your counters. So that could be really bad because I didn't know this now, but he's coming after Reverse Flash. He does not want that guy wandering around scoring a bunch of points. He's going to go take care of him. So Militia Commander is going to run up. He primes the smoke grenade. He lobs it at the feet of Reverse Flash, and he misses. He needs a 3 or more to hit that point of ground. Well, we make a lot of jokes. I think the best scenario that we came up with was that Reverse Flash caught the smoke grenade in midair, ran back to Militia Commander's apartment, put it in his refrigerator, and then ran back to the battlefield real fast. And that is what happened. Anyway, so Reverse Flash is not under the effects of smoke, and we are doing what we always do, which is I'm going to put Reverse Flash in a dangerous position surrounded by bad guys, and I'm going to rely on luck to not get killed. Next thing next, there's no reason not to have high security henchman continue on along the top of that skyscraper, so that's what he's going to do. Here comes Amazon. Amazon suddenly shows why she's pretty good. So she's going to go to defense 5, or she's going to use her adaptable, I believe, to go to attack 5. She's going to pour her 4 attacks into Reverse Flash, and she's going to get him. I mean, she needs to hit him on a 4+. She's got that. Her strength is large too, and her sword is sharp, and it does double blood. So anyway, she makes some good hits. Reverse Flash, he's got defense dice, but he's got to hit those 5s, and he doesn't do a great job. So anyway, I believe he's going to take 4 blood and get knocked down. So that's a shocking amount of damage for Reverse Flash. I am not used to taking that kind of punishment. I still don't really realize the danger that Reverse Flash is in right now. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the tube prisoner and I'm just moving him up a touch. What I really want to do is I want to tempt Harlequin or Poison Ivy into rushing forward to try and get those objectives, to try and take out my minions. And then I'm going to jump forward with Heatwave and Captain Cold, and especially the prisoner with the axe, with the cooling generator, and we're going to try and start picking those guys off. But the first thing is I'm going to send my useless scrubs up to try to tempt them to do that. It doesn't work. I'll just tell you right now. The next thing that's going to happen is Gustav is going to open up with his carbine onto Reverse Flash, and he just doesn't come up with the hits. He just, they don't come out for him. Captain Cold just repositions a little bit. I've got to activate someone, and so he's got to be the guy. I'd rather keep all these guys back until I see what some of those more important characters do, but so he just kind of moves forward and primes his cold gun, hoping that Poison Ivy or Harlequin show up so he can shoot at him. Catwoman moves up. Now, we were talking about this later, and I think this is what Donovan is kind of kicking himself for. He can't remember why he did that, but she sprints forward. Maybe she doesn't like high security henchmen up there. Maybe she doesn't like Reverse Flash over there. Maybe she's trying to get to the objectives. We don't know. But she's coming up the table. Reverse Flash gets to go. He's going to take a dose of Titan, and he's going to move over, and he's going to base that ammo objective. Because, again, I haven't really figured out that this guy is actually in trouble. But I'm looking at a nice 3 victory points and the prospect of being a Titan speedster again. Harlequin moves back. They are not... Okay, first off, my opponent is not taking the bait with my henchmen, and they are not having any of Reverse Flash's shenanigans. They are going to get this guy. Okay, well, I can counter that a little bit. Prisoner 3 with the axe moves up, and he's going to cooling generator Catwoman. I think my opponent may have forgotten about the cooling generator right there, but now she can't dodge, and she's +1 to be hit. Alright, here's bad news. Poison Ivy sprints up. Man, the Sirens are fast. They are unbelievably fast. I think Harlequin gives the Sirens unpredictable so they can pull specials for whatever, and so they can absolutely pour a ton of movement dice. Obviously some of them are acrobatic, and anyway, they can cover a lot of distance. So Poison Ivy moves all the way back, and she does her spores on Reverse Flash, and so she drops a poison counter on him. She's going to cause a blood immediately. He's going to take another blood at the end of the phase, and Reverse Flash is in a lot of trouble. He's only got 1 endurance left, and it is all blood on him right now. In better news, Heatwave is in a great position. He runs forward and just sprays fire at Catwoman. So Catwoman's going to take a bunch of damage. She's got a fire marker. She's going to get another fire marker at the end of the round. She can't use movement counters because she's been stopped to put out any of that fire. So, yeah, that's looking good. So it's a real back and forth in this game at this time. All right, so it's the next round. This is a bad round for my opponent to gain the initiative. So we draw his counter from the bag. He's going to get the first activation. First thing I absolutely got to do, though, is I got to move Reverse Flash away. So he trucks off as fast as he can. He gets the super speed level 1 and 2 or something like that, and he does the the Speed Force power that allows him to take away that poison counter, because my opponent could do nothing else. And in Reverse Flash's activation, if I don't pass my endurance check, I'm going to take a blood immediately, and that's going to be it for him. So fortunately, Reverse Flash has the ability to get rid of that, but he needs to do it. So he just tries to leave. He just tries to get away. I don't have enough Speed Force counters to heal any damage, which is a real shame. But yeah, this is the best that I can do. Unfortunately, it is not enough. So Poison Ivy comes up, sprays Reverse Flash, because she gets the first activation with her spores. Reverse Flash just dies. You know, he takes a blood, and that's all she wrote. Now we're going to come back to this in a little bit, so keep this point in mind. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, so that gives me the opportunity to continue to go after Catwoman. So Axe Prisoner, he uses the cooling generator on her again, and then he kind of shuffles back to safety. Now, I skipped a picture here. Looks like we may have made a little bit of a mistake. Catwoman moves away. She's still an acrobat, so she can move 5 inches away. I don't think she would have actually been able to carry the loot with her. I think we forgot about the movement counter that it requires to bring that movement. Maybe she has a special rule where she can do it without spending that. That's probably the case. Anyway, yeah, so she moves away, and she's just going to get away from Heatwave. Now, I think, darn it, you know, I've got this big fence in my way, so I can't continue to fry her. And she's on fire and everything, and boy, it'd be nice to just finish her off. We do make a mistake here a little bit. Looking at the rules for being on fire, the rule is you can spend movement counters at any time to get rid of the fire counters. So theoretically, what Donovan could have done is his turn, you know, the turn could have immediately started, and out of activation or out of order of anything else, Catwoman could have immediately used her movement counters to get rid of her 2 fire counters. And that would have been really helpful. So she could have used those before Axe Prisoner cooled her. But we didn't know about that at the time. So, you know, so this all is happening. Anyway, she hops away. She's still on fire. Heatwave is disappointed because he got that big fence in the way between Catwoman and himself. But at that point, I kind of think to myself, hey, what does teamwork do? Because Heatwave has teamwork with Captain Cold. And my opponent says, I don't know, I've never used it. So we go and look it up. And teamwork is awesome. Teamwork is great. If you've got your teamwork character within a certain amount of inches, you can use his counters like your own. And Heatwave has teamwork with Captain Cold, and Captain Cold is standing right there. And so I can just use I can use up to 2 of Captain Cold's counters like my own just right off the bat. So I'm like, I can just pull 2 of Captain Cold's movement counters, and I can absolutely leap over that fence and go, and I can spray Catwoman with more fire, which you can't dodge because she doesn't have any movement counters. That's amazing. Like, I wish I knew about that before, because now it means you can run up with Captain Cold and Heatwave. All these guys that are jumping in to try and beat up Captain Cold, I can pull defense dice. You know, Captain Cold only has teamwork 1 with Heatwave, but he can pull a defense die from Heatwave if he needs it. And then when the time is right, when my opponent thinks that Heatwave is way too far away, maybe his guys are clustered together, Heatwave can pull 2 movement counters from Captain Cold and really go on the assault. So he can, you know, I mean, he can move. He can spend 4 movement counters for 8 inches plus his 4-inch move. He can jump across the table 12 inches and then fire his flamethrower. And so that's really nice. Next time I run this crew, I'm definitely going to remember that teamwork ability because it is awesome. Anyway, Heatwave sprays Catwoman with more fire. She's going to burn to death at the end of this round. This is great news for me. So I lost Reverse Flash, but he's losing Catwoman, so hopefully this will all work out. The Amazon, not seeing anyone threatening her objectives, she's going to move over to the corner of that building. The Pipe Prisoner just moves up in support or acting as human bait, one of those 2 things. And here's the big issue of the game. So the tournament organizer wanders by, and he says, oh no, what happened to Reverse Flash? And we're like, he got poisoned to death by her spray cloud. And he's like, what? He didn't dodge it? And we're like, no. you can't dodge gas attacks. And he says, what? And I said, no, you apparently, you can't dodge gas attacks. He's like, yes, you can. And we go and we look it up. And sure enough, you absolutely can dodge gas attacks. And Reverse Flash was sitting on 4 movement dice. So that was a big thing. Now that was a little oops. Obviously that kind of stuff happens. I make mistakes tons of times. This was Donovan's. I didn't know about gas attacks. But it's a big deal because Reverse Flash is worth a lot of points if he's a casualty, especially because he's got that scientific. And it's a big turn of the game. So very nicely. This was really, really cool of Donovan. I mean, he just straight offered it, and I rolled 3 dodges, and of course he made it. Actually, so Reverse Flash is movement 5, so he only fails on 6. So I take 3 dice, and 2 of them are 6s, but 1 of them is a pass. So he would have just zipped away from that spore cloud and come out without a scratch. So this stuff is always tricky. This kind of thing. Like if you make a rules mistake and you find out about it, like how far do you go back, or do you go back in order to fix it? Now for this one, we've had a couple of activations, like specifically that Amazon, her activation would have been different if Reverse Flash was still alive. At the same time, my activation would have been different, because if I had dodged Poison Ivy's attack, I would have activated Reverse Flash next and gotten him way away from there, but then, the Axe Prisoner wouldn't have moved up, so it would have been different. But we did go back in time. We did replace Reverse Flash. Right or wrong, that's how we played it. Anyway, it worked to my advantage. I thank my opponent for being real understanding about that. He was real cool about it. Anyway, so yeah, Reverse Flash is back. But it's my opponent's activation next. So, and I absolutely think this is to his credit. He's going to run Gustav up, and he's going to fire on the move at Reverse Flash. Now, Reverse Flash still has a movement counter left, so it's not going to take much to dodge, but, all he has to do is get a scratch, and he fires his 3 shots with his carbine and doesn't come up with a single hit. So, not so great there. I've got Turk. Here I'm just being an idiot. Turk is not an important activation. I don't know what I'm waiting for. But I really need to move Reverse Flash away, but I just do not perceive the danger. So Turk just moves behind this tow truck with his loot. And sure enough, here comes Militia Commander. Militia Commander is going to come up. He wants Reverse Flash dead, like in the worst way. So he's going to take a shot with his automatic gun. But again, my opponent's dice are not coming up for him, and he misses. And so against, it's a tough shot, but you just got to get a little lucky on this, and everything's cool for my opponent, but it is not working out for him. So finally I get wise, and I'm like, okay, I need to get Reverse Flash out of there. So he buzzes over, he moves past everybody. There's Amazon he's moving past. So he's on the extreme upper left of the board, and his number 1 job is just to stay alive right now. So here comes Harlequin. Harlequin's going to move up with the express purpose of picking up the loot when Catwoman dies. So there's Gotham City Siren teamwork for you. So here Captain Cold moves up. Captain Cold figures, well, Catwoman's going to die. He's just going to take a shot at Harlequin. I think he actually tags her for 2 blood, so that's pretty good. And at the very end, I think, hey, you know what? There's unguarded ammo. I'm going to zip High Security Henchman with his back claw down. I'm going to claim those victory points again. This is me being my typical self. I'm going to just throw a guy into the midst of my enemy people. I'm going to grab victory points, but I'm going to lose that guy. I mean, look at that guy. There's Gustav, there's that Militia Commander, there's Poison Ivy, Amazon's not too far away. Whatever, High Security is crazy. He's just not concerned about this at all. I had a lot of options. I could have run in, I could have made an assassination attempt on Harlequin. That might not have been a terrible idea, but this is what I did. Good or bad, either way, I'm feeling good about it. He's got, High Security Henchman's not afraid of anything. This is the next turn, and my opponent takes the lead again, which isn't great, but I do get a Speed Force phase. And job number 1 is Reverse Flash is to stay alive. So he's going to go all the way around the other side of that building, and he's going to heal himself. And that's pretty much all he's going to do. That's all he needs to do. So now he has a whole 2 endurance left, and he's still feeling pretty bad. Now, I don't actually have a picture of this, but the next thing that's going to happen is Harlequin is going to open up with her twin handguns on Heatwave. And I don't realize this, but Harlequin's handguns are awesome. They only have 1 ammo, which is too bad. But they are 4 shots doing 2 blood apiece. So she just unloads on poor Heatwave, and she causes 6 blood on him, and so he's really hurt. And then she just takes off. She runs off with the loot. Because, of course, Catwoman, even though she was alive at the recount phase, she got her extra victory point for the loot, for holding on to the loot, but then she burned to death. Or, burned to the point where she's got to go to the vet after this and get fixed up. And she drops the loot. Harlequin's right next to it. She picks it up and she runs off after filling Heatwave full of holes. So anyway, in my activation, high security henchman, he's not going to claim the victory points for that ammo. Just my opponent just got too many guys standing around. So he's going to hop up and he's going to go stabby on that militia commander. He does knock him down, but he doesn't take him out. So then it's my opponent's turn again, and Poison Ivy just doing the work over here. She's going to run up, she's going to spray spores on Heatwave, she's going to poison him, and yeah, he's going to die at the end of the round. There's no way around that. He's poisoned, he's going to take that extra blood damage. It's it. Everyone's very sad. He got taken out doing what he loves to do, which is chasing people around, saying, "Here, kitty, kitty," and setting them on fire. Turk's just going to hang out with his loot, that's what he's going to do. Amazon is going to move back into the fighting. She's going to go run over there to that manhole cover. I'm not sure if she's guarding these objectives from high security henchmen. I'm not sure if she's planning a surprise attack through that sewer. I honestly don't know. Captain Cold moves up and he shoots at Ivy some more. It may do some damage. It's not really consequential. But here's something kind of cool. Gustav Gustafsson, he hops into the sewer and goes into that interesting sewer marker that we put on the top of the taco truck. So he warps across the board. He's making an end run. The guy's completely out of ammo, but here's another guy just doing the job. He's gonna go through all my dudes and try to score some victory points. At this point, my opponent knows he's behind. He's lost a free agent. I've grabbed a couple of nice victory points from that ammo. So he's in a position where he needs to make points. And I think Gustav is step 1. So the pipe prisoner moves back. He sees the threat coming up and he's going to boldly guard those objectives with his lead pipe. Reverse Flash is going to run in and he's just going to stand next to Harlequin. He's going to prevent her from getting that loot. She doesn't have any special rules. She gets to bounce away, so that's going to deny my opponent a victory point, which is nice. The militia commander is just going to drop back. He's going to grab himself some more ammo. I don't think he's got veteran, but for whatever reason I don't think he's set up for attack, or maybe he threw some attacks into high security henchmen and just failed to do much of anything. Either way, he's re-equipped and just guarding the objectives. The axe prisoner with his cooling generator is going to move up to that wall and try and look inconspicuous. Alright, it's the next turn, and it looks like I take the lead. I draw my counter from the bag. First thing that's going to happen is the Speed Force phase is going to come around. Reverse Flash is going to move away from Harlequin. He does not want to get hit on the head with a baseball bat. That is not how Eobard Dawn wants to get taken out of the timeline. And he's going to heal himself some more. So my first activation, I am going to run up the Axe Prisoner and I'm going to use the cooling generator on Poison Ivy. I'm not sure this is a fantastic plan. I might have been better off using it on Harlequin, but this is what I do. Anyway, for my opponent's activation, he's going to activate Poison Ivy. She's going to spray her template of spores on Axe Prisoner. She's going to give him a poison marker. That's no good. And she's going to duck into the building, which is too bad. She's still pretty fast, so even though she doesn't have those dodges and things like that, I'm not going to be able to pour a lot of firepower into her, and she's going to basically get away. High security henchman is not done with that militia commander. He's going to come out with his 2 knives, and he is going to wail on that guy, but he does not come up with very many hits. Militia commander is doing the work here, and yeah, he is still alive. Harlequin moves up. She is going for those objectives. My opponent needs points, and she is not scared of the prisoner with a pipe, but make no mistake. I mean, this is a gutsy gamble because I do have a lot of guys sort of off camera here. Captain Cold standing right there. Might as well take a bunch of shots at Gustav. He does, I think, 2 blood to him, but he's still alive, so that's good for my opponent. However, of course, getting hit by the cold gun means that he can't move as far as maybe he would have liked. He has to lose a movement counter. He jaunts forward, still trying to make it to those objectives. He goes and joins Harlequin right there. The pipe prisoner's coming up, though. This is his moment for glory. He's going to swing his pipe at Gustav, and he misses. He doesn't do anything. Here comes the Amazon. The Amazon's going to take care of high security henchman. Not scared of that guy. High security henchman does real well. She does not manage to kill him here. Of course, he's got a pile of endurance, but he's still hanging in there. And same thing as last time. Reverse Flash takes the last activation, rushes in to go and base Harlequin, make sure she can't score points for that loot. And yeah, that brings us to the last turn. Reverse Flash is feeling a little bit better. He's healed himself a couple of times. He's a lot healthier. He's going to move around just slightly to the other side of Harlequin, make it a little bit harder to get to those objectives. Not that it really matters. She's an acrobat. She's not really concerned. But hey, he's also going to prime himself for attacks. So first off, he's going to take Titan. I should absolutely have taken Titan when I was trying to get away from Amazon. Totally forgot about it. This is when I remember it. And so, yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm going to bump up all my abilities. And I'm going to go full attack. I'm going to give myself muscle growth and fast combo. And we're going to make stuff happen. So my opponent took the lead this round. He's going to activate Harlequin first. She does not want any part of that. She's going to move away from Reverse Flash. She's going to go base that ammo. She may have taken a couple swings at Reverse Flash on her way off, but they were not going to hit. High Security Henchman. High Security Henchman is not done yet. He finally stabs the militia commander to death and goes to the other side of the ammo. Gustav runs past my prisoner with the pipe there. He's going to base those medical supplies. Two prisoner comes up, hops onto the cop car, and bonks him on the head with his pipe. I believe this KOs Gustav, and so that takes care of that threat right there. I always knew pipe prisoner had it in him. Good job there. Reverse Flash comes up. That is Reverse Flash on Titan. He is loaded with attacks, comes up to Harlequin, and just unloads a flurry of unblockable strikes. Too much for Harlequin. She's KO'd. All my objectives are safe. We're looking real good. Oh, but poor High Security Henchman. Amazon has finally had enough of this nonsense. Comes up and just chops him in half with her sword. And with that, that is the end of the game. So that is the end of the first California or Southern California, depending on your point of view, I guess, Batman miniature game championship. All right, I have gotten 4 wins out of this game. Now, I pretty much know I've gotten first place. A guy was actually wandering by before the awards and said, "Did anyone here go undefeated?" Apparently, people. I'm pretty sure no one else did. So I kind of like raised my hand there. It's like, oh, so I think it's in the bag. Now, I do want to mention the scoring system for the Batmatch rules. I'm not a giant fan, so I don't have them right in front of me, but it's something like you get like 5 points for a win, you get 2 points for a loss, you get, I don't know, like 3 points. Each person gets like 3 or 4 points for a tie, probably 3 points. And then if it's a crushing loss, you get 0 points. So I don't really love the way that works. I don't know if that's kind of someone said it might be sort of a Europe thing. I don't know if the idea is like if you're really in the lead, you don't have any incentive to absolutely smash their team into the dust. You can take your foot off the gas because it doesn't affect your score. You know, you don't get any more victory points for a big victory, but they get less. So I'm not really sure why that needs to be differentiated that way. But anyway, I know other people were complaining about the Batmatch scoring because it creates a lot of ties. Like in the middle area, you really end up with a lot of people having the same score. And so there's like, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways of deciding tiebreakers. Like you have to write down the casualties and you have to write down the points that the reputation cost for the casualties. So yeah, I guess ties are really common. So I think some of the middle spots, like the differences between where people placed was not a whole lot. The one thing that I will say is, thankfully, the prize support was so incredible that, you know, I mean, all kinds of people got a prize. And if you're anywhere close to the top spots, you got a lot of stuff. I mean, you walked away with like a good amount of things. You get gift certificates to the store, to Knight's Desk. You know, I'll go into it later, but, you know, pretty much, you know, like fourth place, third place, second place, first place, they all got like a good chunk of prizes. And of course, like the prizes started at like, well, you got last place, got a like a starter pack. The idea being you need a new crew, here's a new crew. And then you started getting prizes at like 8th place or something. You start getting some of those tournament cards, you start getting models. Anyway, just incredible. Hats off to the sidekick that was running this. His name is Tony, great guy. Anyway, you'll see more battles against him. First thing first, yes, I did win first place. I came away with a bunch of victories. I think I was the only person to do that. Just got it. It was amazing. Here's a picture of my trophy. I wasn't expecting that. That was phenomenal. I come home. I show the kids. I was like, "Hey kids, guess what? Who's the #1 Batman in California? Your dad is. This proves it." So I've just been introducing myself as the #1 Batman in California. Anyway, all that aside, like I super want to brag about this. I want to be like, what, is this game supposed to be hard? You know, like just be completely cocky and a jerk, like I normally am. However, it is not really possible. I'm pretty good at some miniature games. Like I feel like I have a good handle on Warhammer and I have a good handle on things like Mordheim and stuff like that. And I lose at those games all the time. So I really want people to appreciate that I am not a terribly good player. I had the luck of the dice. I had the luck of the draw. Man, there were so many times that I just threw a guy out there and just watched my opponent's frustration as everything they threw at him just bounced off of these people. And not only that, I want to bring up the last game right there. So I absolutely see, with all those primary objectives, all those objective counters, and all that speed, how if I had played any scenario other than patrol against Donovan in that last round, my guys would have been in a huge victory point hole like very early on. But because we were so far apart from each other, it actually caused him a lot of problems. I don't think we realized that until after the game. He couldn't get at those objectives and just generate tons of victory points. Just couldn't happen. Whereas I managed to sneak a couple guys in and just grab a couple rounds of victory points, and that was kind of enough. Meanwhile, the rest of my guys were just camping with all their guns and their cooling generators, daring anyone to come forward. Also, I mentioned his crew has a lot of speed, and that's true to a certain extent. Half of his crew is really, really fast, the Sirens themselves, and then half of his crew is actually really slow. When you only have to get to the center of the table, that's not going to make any kind of difference because his other guys have, what do you call it? They have guns, basically, so they can reach out and get people. But with something where the distances are so large, his guys actually ended up getting a little bit spread out. So all I'm saying here is that if we didn't play patrol, I think I would have walked into a great big loss. And of course, there's so many times where just a little rolling one way or the other on my opponent's, my opponent's side would have absolutely swung the game. But you know what? I'll take it. You don't see me turning in the plaque or anything like that. I'm absolutely going to claim this win, even though largely it is undeserved. Anyway, watch these videos and become better players than me. Like, learn from what I do wrong and learn from the rules mistakes, obviously. I really apologize for all those. Yeah, again, I hope that because the prize support is so good, no one feels too bad about, maybe not placing as high because of something I got wrong. Anyway, I want to mention the painting competition real fast. So again, we got to nominate a single model and we got to place it into the painting competition, and the staff of the store and the tournament organizer, anyway, I know it was the store staff picked out which one they liked best. And I chose High Security Henchman. Now, on the one hand, he's kind of a plain model. I mean, he's kind of drab gray stuff, and he's kind of ordinary. He doesn't have like a big cape or a big cloak or any bright colors or anything like that. On the other hand, he's the guy I feel that I painted the best. Like, he is my best painted guy. And when I came back after lunch, I saw that he kind of got moved forward with some other guys, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I think he might have been in it. He didn't win, as you could probably tell from that setup. I was looking around, and there were some really nicely painted models. There's a really nice Killer Croc. It was a while ago, so I'm not remembering everything. But obviously, there was a Deathstroke that was very nicely painted. Very nice detail work, very strong edge highlights. I kind of got to that guy going down the line of models, and I thought, okay, if I lose to someone, I'm going to lose to this. And sure enough, that is the one that won, and that actually turned out to be Donovan from the Little Gotham podcast, my opponent in round 4. He is the one who won Best Painted. So, yeah, congratulations to him. It was deserved. Oh yeah, just a side note, I'm really happy I got to play on my own table for that last round. Especially, I'm really happy that we got to use that skyscraper kind of a lot. So we used the interior area, and I was able to get my hand in there and move models around. I used the upper floors. It's accessible to the back claw, and there was reasons to go up there. So I'm actually kind of, I gotta say, I'm just proud that that building worked out, that it wasn't just this monstrosity that didn't really do anything. In game, it was a tactical terrain piece that could get used for a variety of things. I'm rambling a little bit, but I think everyone probably knew this is the last game, and so this video was going to go long. I want to thank everybody. I had an absolutely great time. I can't wait. They're already talking about doing like a series of tournaments leading up to the championship next year. They're thinking of doing a tournament down south, a tournament in the Bay Area. The championship I think is still going to be in Sacramento, which is super convenient for me. Really excited about it. My luck on this game can't keep up, so even though I get to be the first guy to hold it in the record book, someone's going to take it away from me, and that's going to be awesome. These guys were so nice. These were great guys. Go check out the Little Gotham podcast. He'll give you his recap of the whole events. Just amazing driving back and forth like that. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, put it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this helps generate interest in the Batman miniature game. I think it's really strong. I've really enjoyed 2nd edition so far. I think it's a good addition. And yeah, that's it for me. From GM Gashbad, Southern California's #1 Batman. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.